All right. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. A good morning to those of you on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thanks so much for joining us wherever you're watching from. And if you saw the title, you'll know that we are talking some Otakon as well as some other things along the lines of One Piece. But we're not going to keep you waiting because we actually have someone who is live there, our con connoisseur, Mr. Chris Pabon. So I'm gonna bring him on now. Chris, hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, Brandon. Hello, fellow audience members. Here I am,
So,
Bilbo, the favorite traveling hobbit. I'm at Otakon, and I have to say, it is packed, just like in pre-pandemic times, and perhaps even more. The line to get in this morning,
all
if
right.
you had a badge, was as I went all the way around the building, and it was longer if you did not have a badge. Tip for the novices: always pick up your badge on Thursday or Friday.
All right, outstanding. So, you were here yesterday. I understand this is day two for you. So, just, some highlights for you. How has the show been?
The show has been great. I have seen some outstanding cosplay yesterday and today.
Not,
As always,
yeah.
Otakon is very well organized, and they have different aisles set up for you to go back and forth in one direction or the other in the main hallway. That's a big plus, and it is just exceptionally well organized as they usually are.
All right, outstanding, man. So, this are you just going to be going today? Are you going tomorrow as well, or is this going to be it for you with your Otakon 2023?
It is so noisy here. I can barely hear you, but it's like a
I was
beehive of
saying, are you going
people.
to be heading there tomorrow, or will this be
Oh,
it with what you have going
no,
on?
no. This Hobbit is here only on Friday and on Saturday. On Sunday, I gotta go do brunchies.
Okay, fair deal, fair deal. So thank you for hopping in briefly in the time that you have. I won't keep you so you can enjoy your day too. But yeah, this is Christopher Bond, our con connoisseur. Thanks again, man.
Follow me at Verde Cosplay on Instagram.
There you go.
Thank you,
All
audience
right,
members.
later, Chris.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right, so that was Chris Pabon, who we had over at Otakon, just kind of giving you a brief 411 of what's going on there. But of course, we're going to be talking about some other things that are going on there, as well as some stories that are relative. But I won't be alone in talking about this. Of course, I have my fellow co-host Spillman. Let me bring him on. Spills, what is going on, sir?
Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? What's going on with
Five
you?
stars, five stars, five stars.
That's right, 5 stars, ladies and gentlemen, because it's 5 stars. It's hot outside, so make sure you hydrate. I have a tasty iced coffee here, keep me hydrated, caffeinated, so I'm ready for these topics today.
I
Oh, hello,
apologize.
can
Hold
you
on.
hear?
We having
Oh, there
having
we
we
go,
having
ladies
a
and
slight
gentlemen.
audio. There we go.
There we
So,
go.
Spillman, I wanted to also have you here, and I'm gonna punt the ball over to you, so to speak, because I know we wanted to talk some One Piece. And I know that we have One Piece, the series, making its way over to Netflix. So I'm gonna punt it over to you, sir. Go for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is a spill topic. I've been telling Brandon about this show for very many moons. It's a great show. It's possibly the most popular anime in the world right now. And Brandon was like, I don't know the most popular anime in the world. I just watch the show sometimes. I was like, sir, you're missing out on a
Sorry, man.
epic
I'm honestly
of
just the
epics
DBZ. I'm just the DBZ
standards.
guy. Sorry.
Well,
That's my foray. So into anime.
I could describe One Piece like this for you. Imagine if DBZ, instead of going into just weirdo fight stuff and no one ever died and nothing ever seemed to have any consequences because you kind of know what's going to happen. Imagine that, but the stakes were always real, and that's what One Piece is. It's a show as long as that, with as many fighting and as much transformational powers and everything, with an actual mythology that spans. It's a 20-year show. It's been on the air for 20 years. The anime, I mean, the manga's been going really hard. It's the #1 manga in the world. You know, people like Naruto, people like Dragon Ball, but you know, One Piece is the end all be all right now. It's the most popular one. I think they had a One Piece movie that came out a couple of months ago. It was like the most popular anime movie that came out this year so far. But they are, you know, they've been on a very long story arc right now. All the One Piece fans out there know we're in the Wano or Wano, I don't know, Wano, Wano, I don't know how to say it. Wano story arc. We're drawing to an end on the anime on that. It's finished up in the manga, so you know, I don't read the manga because I like to watch the show. I don't do the spoilers. People don't send them to me on Instagram. I know you fans are really itching for that, but they're coming to the end of the Wano story arc, and we're coming to a big transformation of Luffy, Straw Hat Luffy, the main character of the show, achieving a new transformation in his final form, as they say, the fifth year, which is a crazy thing that's happening. You know, you see all kinds of art about it online. People are all talking about it. I personally think that the One Piece is actually the power that Luffy already possesses, and we'll find out that he always had it himself. It's going to be like I think it'll end like a Wizard of Oz-esque ending, where it's like you always had the power, you just didn't know that you had the power, and this is how you had to figure it out. So that's very interesting to me. I don't know how much Brandon knows about the One Piece saga. I know he's a big fan of it. They also, I think that, you know, Crunchyroll is doing a whole rollout with the Luffy finally reaching Gear 5, is that they've uploaded all of the English dub up to episode like 947 or something like that. And previously, the English dub was up to most recently on Netflix that I've seen. I don't know, maybe people out there have a better idea of it. They were only up to like episode 360. So that's like 600 episodes. So if you've been trying to get into the One Piece and you're like, no, I don't do the subs, that's not really my thing. Diehard anime fans will judge you for that. Don't let them judge you. But the dubbed version is now mostly on Crunchyroll if you have a subscription. You know, I don't know how you get things if you do not have a subscription, but that's not my business. And honestly, we shouldn't talk about this on this recorded airwaves. And then finally, they're also pushing this because, you know, everything's One Piece right now. They've got the One Piece live action show that's coming on Netflix. I'm really interested in it. I'd like to see how they capture some of the powers, because the powers on One Piece are like, you know, they have essentially superhero powers, but they're so zany and off the wall that the fact that they have superhero powers is almost comical. So I'd like to see what they're able to capture with this, because, you know, other anime adaptations kind of lose the translation from cell shaded animation into the live action realm. We saw the show. Did you watch the Cowboy Bebop show, Brandon?
I did, and so okay. So as I said, my foray into anime is Dragon Ball Z. You know, the first Dragon Ball. You know, when Goku was a kid, and then going into his adult years with Dragon Ball Z. Because I remember when Dragon Ball Z was around, I wasn't aware that the story had continued, because I think I had like stumbled upon, you know, Dragon Ball Z, where I was like, Dragon Ball Z, like, is this like the continuation of like the little kid that was like crushing people? Because I remember when he was like going up against Red Ribbon Army and all of that, and all of those characters, like, oh snap, like he's a grown, you know, grown dude. He has his own kid now, like, and they had in the animation, like in Dragon Ball Z, like blew me away, where it was like, oh man, like the martial arts, the action scenes in this is like insane. And I remember being reintroduced into that story. I think the saga that they were in was the it wasn't this. I guess you can call it the Saiyan saga. So it was with Raditz, the evil brother, and the team up with Piccolo. Like I hadn't when I got reintroduced to the Dragon Ball lore with Dragon Ball Z. That's where I got reintroduced. 'Cause I know tons had happened prior to that with like tournaments and things like that, but just by happen chance, I ended up stumbling back into the latter, I guess you could say, sequel story with that saga, and that kind of pulled me in because you had, like I said, not only the the intrigue of having Goku go team up with his arch enemy to go up against someone who's worse, but you also had like this whole like mystery with Gohan too, where you were like, okay, so Gohan is stronger than everybody else. This little like 5-year-old kid is stronger than all these other characters that's supposed to be like supposed to be the big threat. So um yeah, that's been my foray. Like I've dabbled in some of the other shows. I've dabbled in Yu-Gi-Oh. I've dabbled into, as you said, Cowboy Bebop. I've dabbled into Naruto, but yeah, my mainstay is definitely Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So, and I mean, there've been times and reason why I say dabble is, I will come upon episodes here and there. Back in the day, I don't know if it's still a thing 'cause I don't really watch it as much anymore. But you would have like Adult Swim or something like that, where you'd be able to catch up with a lot of these episodes that were in syndication, over on Cartoon Network. So like that's how I was able to catch some of the episodes there. But yeah.
Adult Swim for a little bit, but they didn't. They like kind of stripped it down. Like if you remember when they first did Dragon Ball, they took a lot of some of the stuff out because censorship standards and like what's okay for little kids to be viewing. So like one of the main characters is a heavy cigarette smoker. They made him eat lollipops all the time, and it's just like, come on, we know grown men don't eat lollipops. Like let's stop. You can't trust no old man that eats lollipops or whatever. So it's like, if he was smoking cigarettes, that's a little bit more trustworthy, which is weird to think of, but that's how it is. But personally, I think that, when I was driving around the Otakon, I didn't actually go in, unfortunately, because I had other engagements. But I was driving around there yesterday, and I saw lots of people dressed up as One Piece characters. I saw a lot of Fire Fist Aces. I think I saw a guy dressed up like just all kinds of One Piece characters, and it's a very extensive universe. It captures a lot of the things that makes Dragon Ball work. The antagonists are good antagonists. I mean, protagonist is good protagonist. They seem to have an adventure on your mind, and it's kind of like based on the same type of Journey to the East kind of situation. Obviously, there are parallels between One Piece and Dragon Ball that you may be interested in. Like Monkey D. Luffy is Luffy's name, and obviously Goku's name literally is Japanese for monkey. They both possess powers that make them monkey-like. Like Monkey D. Luffy ate the gum fruit to become a rubber man, but he also has moves that are very monkey-like. He doesn't fight like with edged weapons or weapons like a normal man would. He never really picks up guns or anything like that. He just punches people, which monkeys do. We know monkeys will punch you, and monkeys have that monkey strength, and you gotta watch out for the monkey strength. Other similarities are that that they're both on the same studio as far as who created them. So it's kind of like
A cousin
I don't
show.
know. Yeah, it's like a cousin show, and they've had crossover. They had a crossover episode saga where they did two crossovers where the One Piece people met the Dragon Ball people, but they also met this other show, and I don't even remember that show. It was like a big show then, but it's not a big show now. Um, it was another like anime show that they crossed over. The three of them intertwined, so it was interesting. But I'm really interested to see the 5 year because I picked this show up. I didn't start watching it until the pandemic started. Like I saw it on Netflix, and I was like, all right, I'll give this a try. And I started it in the lore of it because the storytelling, I think that's really what the show is good about. It's got a lot of political intrigue and stuff, and it's got many threads. Like, sure, the main show is about them getting the proverbial One Piece, but in the course of the show, they're really explaining what the One Piece is, why anybody would want it, how it would affect anything. So it's just, it's a really deep show. There's all kinds of commentary about like anti-slavery messages and all kinds of stuff. So it's a very interesting show. Sometimes they do criticize it because they do say that the author only draws like one kind of woman, which is a very common trope in these kind of things. Like what is that famous comic book artist from the night? I think his name is J. Campbell Scott or J. Scott Campbell or something. The guy that did he draws the same woman every single time he draws. So it's like they kind of look at Oda as the same kind of person where he draws the same kind of woman all the time. But I think he's gotten better over the years as they started telling him, hey, man, you got to stop drawing just buxom women all the time. Like, women look more than just buxom. Let's try a different style. So, I mean, that's currently my show. And I've been bugging Brandon, ladies and gentlemen, to put some One Piece content on here. And because we've got Otakon today, I said, this is the time. It's a good, filler piece because they're not striking in Japan, so they still moving over there. So we can still talk about something. But I'd love, you guys can engage me, tell me your favorite One Piece characters or episodes. All you Tony Chopper fans out there, give me some cotton candy. That's what I like to eat. I like to eat cotton candy too. But it's just a very interesting show, but it's very long. I will tell you this: don't get into it if you don't want to. It's kind of like people say about the booger sugar. They're like, hey, if you don't cross that bridge, don't cross it. If you don't have to, because you're gonna be stuck in it. And
Wow. Wow, that
like,
is a
I think the episode.
segue.
No, for real, because the episode, I think it's like episode
Wow.
47, 1047 or something.
Wow.
1047.
Well, with all of
Yeah.
that you shared, Spillman, I was gonna say it in seeing the trailer that they have showed for One Piece, with what the knowledge that I have of One Piece and the episodes that I've seen, it is immediately recognizable. A lot of the iconography that you have there, in terms of, just like you were saying, some of the exaggerated action that's on display. So like a lot of that was recognizable. Where if you see it, you're like, yeah, that's definitely One Piece. Like if you're connecting it, to the anime. So we'll see. Like I'm intrigued. I'm interested to see how it is. I know that there's lately been a big issue when it's come to adaptations of whether it's been anime or games. I know that there have been some, and I know, I may get folks who be like, "What are you talking about?" But and it may just be because I had seen episodes of it. I hadn't watched the entire series, but that's with Death Note. Like the Death Note, what is it? I want to say it was a movie that they did. But what the adaptation that they had for Netflix was like, I enjoyed it. I didn't care too much on how it ended or how they wrapped it up, but at least the initial setup up through the middle of the film, it was working all the way up until the end. I feel like it kind of fell apart a little bit towards the end, but overall it was still a decent adaptation, I feel, of what they were capturing from the anime, and also who they had in those roles. Because if I recall, they had what is it, Green Goblin. They had him as that iconic character from Death Note. I'm brain farting.
The scary looking dude.
Yeah. So
Wilhelm Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. So you can't go wrong with Willem Dafoe. I feel like Willem Dafoe, even if you put him in a project that's not great, he will still elevate it. But again, like they had great folks in those roles. And overall, like I said, the story worked. It just didn't work for me, as like I said, in terms of how it was wrapped up and how it was concluded. But that the first act and the second act were good, and I enjoyed it. So the jury's still out. on One Piece, but at least from what I've
We're
seen,
still waiting. I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned because One Piece is almost like turning Bugs Bunny into a person.
mm,
Because like the character Monkey D. Luffy is a Bugs Bunny esque like character. He's like it's kind of like I hope that they because the character is definitely like a Captain Jack Sparrow type character.
mm,
So his hijinks they like it works on cartoon because cartoons you can be that kind of cartoony, but like it gets lost in people. So I worry how much that could come across because it's such a zany
you're worried that they
series.
want to take it too far and not really find a good balance of like the zaniness versus the stuff that needs to be taken
Yeah,
seriously.
because the humor is definitely what makes One Piece such a good show. I think that that they have humor about so much that happens in it. Because otherwise it's just it's a we've all seen a pirate property. We've all seen pirates. Like it's not new. Yo ho ho, they eat rum and all this kind of stuff. So um, with the addition of the double fruit powers and those superpowers, it does add that level of fantasy to it. Um, but the devil fruit powers work best on a drawn page. I'm really concerned because even Marvel, with all their billions of dollars, have struggled to make things look believable with certain characters. They haven't been able to get like Fantastic Four right because it just doesn't look right. It's like it's one of those things. Whenever you put somebody in the Thing costume, they look like somebody in the Thing costume. They don't look like the Thing, if that makes sense. So I just luckily most of the cast of the cast of the crew members don't have powers that are that fantastical that we wouldn't be able to see. I don't think that they're going to go into the Alabaster story on this first season. I think they'll just. I think from what I can tell from the previews, I think they're just doing the battle with the Fishman group. I forget. I think it's not Saboti. It's like I don't know, but I forget the name of it because it's a show that I've watched 1,000 episodes ago. But um, how they capture even the fact that they're having a pirate battle against a group of fishmen, which is a character groups that look great when you draw them, but it looks like they're using practical effects, so maybe it won't look so good. But I'm interested in it because they are trying to do the practical effects and stuff. And I've been preaching for months on this show that they need to go back to more practical effects and stop leaning so much on computers. So we'll see. We
Yeah,
will see. I'm a little concerned.
for sure, for sure. Now, I mean, hopefully, with what we're seeing trend wise, with a lot of with, I feel like not just with TV shows, but with film too. A lot of times when it comes to Hollywood and those films and those TV shows or any property that you're watching, right now we're seeing that a lot of like major tentpole projects are not doing so hot, and
Hmm.
maybe that will because of this the audiences showing what showing Hollywood what they are interested in with their with their money, that it'll force a lot of these projects to not rely so heavily, like you said, on CG and utilize practical effects more. I mean, there's so much, in terms of like the technology that we have now, so much that can be done, I feel, with practical effects, with animatronics that, you can still capture the same magic and have that same effect by actually physically having it in the space with the performer. And I'm sure a lot of performers would agree with that as well, that, it makes it a lot easier of having the physical entity in the space with them versus having to deal with a a green screen, a blue screen, or I mean, and I'm brain farting on the other device that's used a lot of times that they have now with a lot of the Star Wars shows. I mean, yeah, you have the surroundings,
Like
but
the
still,
motion capture.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you have the surroundings there that kind of put you in the space, but still something tangible that you can actually touch or see. I feel it helps. Speaking as someone who's acted, it helps in being able to react off of it and perform with it. So, yeah. Don't. And I was going to say one thing in thinking of that is I know we'll see if it ever happens. There's been that long rumored because it makes me immediately think of this when we're talking animatronics, and that's The Thing, my favorite movie of all time. John Carpenter's The Thing, and I know recently at one of the events that he was at, Carpenter had alluded to maybe we're getting a Thing sequel. I hope not, because like I don't want it to be in ruined. That franchise to be ruined. The attempt was made in doing a prequel, and from what I understand, like they had gone a practical route, and then they kind of got pressured into kind of switching it up and going more into the CG route. But like you can't do a Thing film without it being practical. That, in my
I
opinion,
mean,
you can't.
part of that too is it's the things that they made on the Thing. If you didn't know that if you just saw them and they weren't moving or anything, just to look at some of that stuff is just so terrifying because it's like this whole Schrodinger's thing where they like look like a mixture of all kinds of different animals in an unnatural and whole stomach turning kind of a way that if you could see something like that, it lends to the acting too, because it's like, yo, that's scary. Like even movies where they have practical effects and the Thing is not scary, whatever it is that we're supposed to be scared of, if it doesn't look scary, it doesn't feel scary. Like the Jaws thing, even though it was a big goofy animatronic that didn't work all the time, the fact that you could like see it and you could see how big it was, like the fact that, oh, this thing is about like 25 feet long. Anything that's big is terrifying, even if it's a gentle animal. You ever been like at the zoo with the elephants? Elephants are not
Alien.
in terribly terrifying. Yeah, and the
If
alien
we're
was a
talking
dude that was
Alien
my size.
franchise,
He's a 6'10" dude that's walking and angulating in a way that's just very terrifying. Even if it was just your friend was playing around, and they would look like that, and they were scary and moving scary. Even though you know your friend's not going to hurt you, it's still a little bit terrifying to see something do things that you are uncomfortable with. So the imagination is one thing, but to actually see it adds a whole nother level. So we can hope for that. I really hope that they do well with it. Even the Dragon Ball adaptation was goofy, but we all argue about why it was goofy. They had a white guy playing Goku, but an Asian lady playing his girlfriend. We're not going to get into that. That's too much politics about the whole casting choices that are made in Hollywood. But it is what it is. So
I mean, you have that, and then also, I feel like there wasn't enough respect paid to the mythology of Dragon Ball because, like,
yeah,
when it comes to Dragon Ball, like, it's something that can constantly like elevates. So, like, you can't just throw people into the concept of being able to shoot fireballs and do all this other like magical stuff. You have to
right,
build to that. Like,
right.
even when he was a kid, there wasn't a lot of that. I mean, there were some moments here and there. I mean, the most that you had his staff that could extend. That's you
Hmm.
can wrap your head around something like that,
Yeah.
something basic. But like to automatically have him powering up and doing all this other stuff, and then like him turning into a giant monkey, like that's too much to introduce in a first film. You have to build to that. You have to build to him being able to turn into a monkey. You have to build to him being able to get into the concept of power levels and like super saiyans and all of that, like which it's all there, whether it's a series or a franchise, it's all there. It's just that you have to build to that, and you have to like
Hmm.
take your time in getting to that point, and you have to, just like you said, you have to be authentic to the characters to make it work. So yeah, off my soapbox.
Yeah, but
um,
I'm really hoping because, like I said, like you've said, the even the One Piece, the way that people get their powers, it's not even to this day. They say that devil fruits give you powers, but it's really not explained in the show after 1,000 episodes. Like how the devil, and this is all part of the mythology, and I think that's what makes it such a good show is that it builds mythology as it goes. The different strings of things, like they'll foreshadow something, and then like 300 episodes later, they'll be like, "Hey, remember that thing we talked about? Well, we actually are bringing it back right now." Like, I think he starts naming the like on the first or second episode, he names the types of people he wants to find, and over time, he actually finds them. Like, obviously if you were starting a pirate crew, you'd have to have certain people do certain jobs. And he's just like, even the finding of the people to do the jobs, like, oh, we need a navigator because we don't know how to travel on the ocean because you don't really think about that, but that's very important if you're going to be doing illegal travel. Like, you need to have somebody that can get us through these illegal places, and we're probably not going to be taking waterways and all this other stuff. But that's just me getting into the thing about it. I just really I love this show. It's a great show. Sometimes it's weird, but I think that is what makes it such an approachable show, and why people are such diehards. Like, it's a line of demarcation, I feel, for anime fans. I feel like it's a bigger line of demarcation than like sub or dub. I feel like the people that watch One Piece are like on this side, and then the people that's like, I'm never doing that. I'm not going to watch 1,000 episodes of anything. I'm over here with that. But the rest of us have sense and we watch it. So fans, please go out and check it out. It's a great show. I enjoy it. I think, try to get the live action one because that's a good way to get your feet in the water. It could tell you about why things are the way they are on the show, some of the mythology. And that's just, a good way to intro it. So, I don't know.
All right. Well, cool. Well, there you have it. Like I said, we're not going to have like a super long show like we normally have. Keep it locked tomorrow, as of course we want to get into some Star Trek, as well as wrapping up Secret Invasion with extraterrestrial spooks. But before we go, as always, Spill, turning it over to you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember, you could see me on Instagram at Truly Spill. You can, tell me your favorite One Piece characters. You could tell me your theories about the Lost Century. If we want to talk about that, we can get real deep. You could tell me what One Piece devil fruit power you'd have. Personally, I think that the One Piece power I would have, I think the one that I thought was cool was I like the gum fruit. That's a great one. But that's the main one. I don't want to be that guy to pick the main one. But the Whitebeard power of controlling earthquakes, I think that'd be cool for me because I'm a big guy, and I feel like if I could like hold my fist together and make the sky crack open, that'd be awesome. And people would be like, yeah, Spill, those are the kind of powers you deserve. So, check me out on there. Tell me about what you like. If you have a chance to go to Otakon, enjoy yourself. And please give the show 5 stars. Vote 5 stars, upvote us, tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your daddy. So yeah. What about you, Brandon?
All right, cool. Well, you can find me on Twitter at Brandon Troy ENT. For those of you that still tweet, or I guess not even Twitter now. I guess I should say X. You can X me, right? You can X me at Brandon Troy ENT.
That's right.
I can't even remember. Yeah, there you go. You can X me right there. So and on Instagram, similarly, is Brandon Troy _ENT. Just made it back. If you guys were with us last week, just made it back from San Diego Comic-Con, still recovering from that. And we actually, and I apologize for this, we also had a Rhode Island Anime Con happening this weekend as well. Very, very anime heavy convention weekend. So, but yeah, in a couple of weeks, keep it locked because we will be in Colorado Springs for Colorado Springs Comic-Con. So that's going to be next month, towards the end of next month. So keep it locked there. But other than that, we still going to be doing our thing here with This Week in Review. If you want to keep tabs on the goings on over the course of the week in entertainment, make sure you keep it locked here at Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Make sure you subscribe. All in all, thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there. And
peace.
See you soon.
5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars.